Beautiful friend, on October 22nd, Neptune, the visionary sign of our personal dreams, our visions, and our collective aspirations, Neptune is going to retrograde back into the deeply emotional, super psychic, highly sensitive water sign of Pisces. This will be the very last time in our lifetimes that Neptune is in Pisces, marking the final end of an era. And this will probably be the most intensely felt Neptune retrograde in Pisces that we have felt during the entire cycle. And I'm going to share why in this video. But big picture, this last pass of Neptune and Pisces, this retrograde, is preparing us for the very rare and globally significant, some people are calling it massive, shift of Neptune and Saturn, both re-entering Aries, coming together exactly at 0 degrees on February 20th, 2026. So in this video, I am excited to share with you in part one, who will feel this transit most intensely? What can you expect to be navigating? And how can you best work with these energies as you prepare for the 2026 Neptune-Saturn conjunction in Aries? In part two, I will be doing, as always, readings for all 12 signs, letting you know where this Neptune retrograde is happening in your natal astrology chart and pulling an oracle card for each of the signs as well. I highly encourage you not to skip to your 12 sign readings before you watch part one, because part one is going to give you the why is this all happening, and my tips for navigating these energies. As always, I'm super excited to dive in, but I do want to welcome those of you who are brand new to the channel, who have just found us. This is a like-minded community. It is my intention to inspire and empower you through Western tropical astrology. I am so glad you are here. Take a moment right now to tap that subscribe button and the notification bell so we stay connected and you don't miss a video. Welcome back to those of you who are already connected, who have subscribed. I am so happy that you're here. If we are just now meeting, I'm Betsy Gutting. I'm a psychic astrologer and intuitive life coach, and I do astrology consultations. If that intrigues you, stay tuned till the end of this video. I will tell you more about my offerings, and I have a free gift for you as well. Stay tuned to find out what the gift is and how you can get it. And if you would like to receive my weekly inspirational astrology updates, which is the astrology between videos, I will send those direct to your inbox when you go to my website. Sign up for free, and when you do so, you will also get at the same time my free gift instant download. So let's begin with the dates. Neptune has been in fire sign Aries, the planet of new beginnings, fresh starts, a spark being lit underneath you, the fire burning in your belly. Neptune entered Aries March 30th of 2025, and it's been here for about 7 months. Enough time for you to, I hope, get some sort of sense of what you want next in your life, what you want to co-create with the universe, what would light you up. We got a taste of this, and then Neptune stationed retrograde in Aries on July 4th. Coming up on October 22nd, Neptune is going to re-enter Pisces and continue its retrograde until December 10th, when it stations direct in Pisces. However, Neptune is not going to re-enter Aries until January 26th of 2026. Aries will then be Neptune's permanent home until March of 2039. So what do the next several months between October 22nd and January 26th of 2026 have in store for us? In a nutshell, globally, collectively, on an individual, personal level, we are in transition. Retrogrades are always what we call a review period. We're not looking forward, we're looking back. Doesn't mean our heart isn't saying, I want something different. I want a new, exciting Aries beginning. That could be happening at the same time. But on a deeper soul level, and often on an emotional level, we are still in a time of transition, release, letting go, surrendering, many of us. Wondering, when are we going to come out of this phase? It is very much like if you have ever given birth yourself or watched somebody give birth to a baby. It's very much like what we call the transition phase of birth, those last few contractions before the baby starts to crown. And if the mother is not medicated, these are the most painful contractions of the entire experience of giving birth. And that word contraction says it all, right? There's an opening, a pulling back, a tightening, an opening, a pulling back, a tightening. And this can happen multiple times before finally there is the birth. And for all of us on a deep psychological level, this is a rebirth, a shedding of a skin, if you will, coming fully and completely into the new life, the new self, the new chapter, feeling like finally we are new again. So we're not quite there yet. What might that feel like to you? You could feel like an old chapter, an old life, an old self, an old part of you, a way that you have done things before. And this could practically play out in an area of your life, like a significant relationship or marriage, a job, your health, your vitality, your finances, your home, fun and adventure. It could feel like something in any area of life really has faded away, has left, has died even. But the new life, the new person, the new relationship, job, career, vitality, zest for life hasn't yet returned. We're in between. You could feel like you're in between worlds. You could feel like you're in limbo. You could feel lost. You could be wondering, will I ever get my life or my joy back or my you fill in the blank? Will I ever get that back again? And yes, after a metaphorical death, there's always an invitation to rebirth on offer for each and every one of us. But the question is, will we allow it? To do that, we first have to release. We first have to do what can be the hardest part of the human experience, letting something go, letting it wash away, grieving what has left our lives. And that is often a deep soul process. But if you look at this transit through the lens of a soul cycle, because Neptune represents eras, it represents cycles of our soul. This is the very last time in our lifetimes that we will experience our evolutionary soul growth. Often, for many of you, that has, and myself included, that has meant some painful experiences. The last time we will experience this energy of growth and learning and shedding a skin through the lens, through the energy of Neptune in Pisces. And it reminds me of that oyster pearl analogy where if it weren't for the irritant, if it weren't for the grains of sand that irritate the oyster, which is like the grittiness of life, right? If it weren't for this grittiness causing discomfort, the oyster wouldn't have had the incentive to protect itself with these layers of substance that then become the shimmering pearl. Literally, on a very organic level, a pain point is transformed into a shiny gemstone. And what Neptune in Pisces has been working with us on, because Neptune is that highest octave of compassion, unconditional love, our spiritual source. Neptune represents where we came from, pure love, and where we will return to when we leave these bodies. Many of us during this Neptune and Pisces transit, which began in 2011, have been dissolving old coping mechanisms that were of the ego, have been moving more and more to higher levels of spiritual ascension, have become more compassionate, we've become more forgiving, we've learned to let go in ways that we probably couldn't when we first entered this life. We have come a long way. So this is the time to mark that soul growth and celebrate it. And because I see the planets as spiritual guides and conduits for our growth, I encourage you to look back to the last 14 years. Look to the house in which Neptune has been transiting, your Pisces house, which I will speak about in the 12 sign readings. What are the themes of this house? And in this area of your life, what has happened for you? What has changed for you? What would you say were the high points and the low points? What did you grow through? What did you have to surrender to? Who are you now? How are you different now from how you were when the transit started in April of 2011? This is one of the most powerful ways that we can learn astrology, is to look back and see, how did that transit form me as a human, as a soul? So because Neptune is representative of the ideal, the dream, the vision, it all begins in the unseen realms. This is where all of our co-creations begin. We get ideas, we daydream, we get inspired by other people. And then we begin to sense and imagine ourselves doing, having that thing that we want to bring into reality. And Neptune in Pisces is very strong. It is considered at home. It does very well here. It's in its element. And the superpower of Neptune in Pisces is its creative imagination, the ability to create a new world, the ability to say yes to and follow a dream that may feel like a pipe dream. Like for me, moving back to the home where I grew up, Laguna Beach, California, living again in Laguna Beach all these years later, when I didn't own a home there and the prices had gone sky high, I didn't see how I was going to do that. That was a pipe dream for me. But because of my passion and my deep, deep desire to make it happen, and a lot of magical synchronicities and support from the universe, it happened. Now, the thing is, Neptune is not just, this is my dream, I want to make it happen, or I'm learning to channel psychic guidance, I'm becoming more intuitive. It is our connection to the divine. It is the concept of oneness, the concept of we heal through forgiveness, we heal through compassion for ourselves and for others. But on a very human level, it can also be where we get lost in fantasy. It can be where we fall madly in love with someone and then we realize later that we were actually projecting a truth of who they were that wasn't anything like the reality. We were actually projecting our own view of love or our own capacity to love on the other person. And those are very, very painful experiences. I want to acknowledge that. When the rug gets pulled out, when the person comes off the pedestal, or you come off someone else's pedestal, that is very painful, often for everyone involved. And it's not just a person that we experience that with. Oftentimes we experience that through a job that we thought we were going to love, or through a fantasy of if I start this business, I'm going to make, a certain amount of money, or anything that we have very high hopes for or that we fantasize about that ends up not working out the way we planned. And this is why we say that in its lower expression, Neptune is connected to feeling disillusioned, disappointed, being out of touch with reality, also connected to addiction, escapism, substance abuse. And when we have a hard Neptune transit in our own natal astrology chart, often that leads to confusion. Our judgment becomes clouded. We don't know what to do. We often feel lost. We're not even sure at times of what we really want. We can lose trust in ourselves. We can lose faith in the universe or faith in whatever we put faith in. And what's really going on underneath a process like that is on a soul level, something is being rearranged. It's a very deep inner kind of psychological transit. A part of us is leaving. A part of us is dying. Think of it as conditioned ways of being that you brought into this lifetime that you don't need anymore. You've outgrown some of that conditioning. So it has to leave. It has to have its own death. And as that is happening on a very deep inner level, we can feel like we are unraveling or something in us is dissolving. I talk about this in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, my own period of what I called unraveling. And I just came up with that word when it was happening. So clearly on a visceral level, it can feel like that for you. When that is happening, we need grounding, we need earthing, we need something that we can go to that tethers us to the earthly reality. And that's why in my book, I give you suggestions for things you can do to ground you. For example, when my marriage was falling apart and psychologically I was confused and scared and just how was I going to do my life if we did divorce? My soul guided me to take these walks daily in my neighborhood to a cemetery. Really interesting, right? A death was going on. But in the cemetery at the top of the hill was a statue of Jesus with his arms open wide, sort of embracing, saying, "Come, I will give you a hug." And next to that statue was a twin tree. And I would go to that tree every single day, sit with my spine up against it, receive that energetic boost from the tree, probably a soul transmission as well. And I would write in the dirt my spirit name. I gave my spirit a name and I would write that in the dirt. And what was that? That was the part of me that was being birthed. That was the new soul essence that was coming online as the old part of me was dying at the same time. And I share that and many other stories with other practical things that you can do if you're going through any kind of hard Neptune transition in my book. It's linked below for those of you who'd like that support. Even if you're not having a hard Neptune transit, and this is something, of course, I can share with you in an astrology consultation, but even if you're not going through a huge life transition right now, you could feel more tired during this transit. You could feel like you need more sleep, you need naps, even if you're not a regular napper. Your energy could feel drained. That's often how we feel in Pisces energy, and especially Neptune in Pisces energy. You could also feel like you just want to check out more, like you do want to escape more. You need more distractions. Be aware of whether you are numbing feelings, because we're meant to move through the emotions. We're meant to process the feelings during this time. But you may find elevated states. You may get those endorphins going, and that's important too, by finding your bliss in music, especially old songs that take you back to deep, they could be sad or happy memories. Songs that move you, movies, stage productions, books, stories, any kind of visual beauty, whether you're creating it or you're watching it, that is elevating to you. Also, we want to remember that Neptune in Pisces is connected to karmic relationships, karmic endings, karmic closures, whether it is a relationship or a situation like a job or a house move. We have karmic ties to places. We have karmic ties to homes even. We have karmic ties to certain people. And when I say karma, I am not adding that negative connotation onto it that we often associate with karma. I translate karma as any experience that we are meant to have in order to grow while we're here on earth as spiritual beings having this human adventure. Other symptoms of this transit, you could find yourself having flashbacks to past experiences. You could get super nostalgic. You could be nostalgizing your life. Watch out for that, because we can look back at things and only put the lens of, oh, that was so perfect. Why can't I have that again? When the truth is, it's because all we're remembering are the high points. But also you could be extra sensitive, very porous, very, very sensitive to those around you, even the sounds in your environment. Sometimes we're more run down. Pisces does rule the immune system. So we really want to prioritize our sleep and our supplements or anything else that you do to keep your energy in balance. And if you do find yourself feeling heavy with energy that you're not even sure if it's yours, often it's not. I like the tool of asking, is this my energy or is it someone else's? You could wake up in the middle of the night and just be feeling the collective angst. It's out there for sure. So much uncertainty right now as we go through this massive time of change. But when you ask that question, is this mine? I find that I tend to take a nice deep breath if it's not, and it just releases. You can also consciously ask the divine to help you cut cords to anything that isn't your own. And you can also put your hands on your heart and say, I call all my energy back to me now. So this last pass of Neptune in Pisces, how does it want to support us? It is for us, right? It's for us. It's a time of transformation. It wants to help us transform the irritant into the pearl. How do we do that? We begin to identify more with what our heart wants now, what we want to move toward, our vision, our new vision, and less with the past. How do we not identify with the past wounding or past pain or past loss, especially when it is painful and we don't know if we're going to be able to move through it or overcome it? How do we do that? We consciously apply tools to process those emotions so that we can stop identifying with the wound, with the past, with the loss. With this transit, we are supported to let go of coulda, woulda, shouldas, where we wish we would have done something differently, over-sacrificing, over-giving, feeling like victims, even though the painful things are real and true, and they did happen. We all know that when we're in the place of victimhood, we're not in our power. So we can't create something new when we're not in our power. During these last few months of Neptune and Pisces, for us in this lifetime, forever, we are tremendously supported to leave those ways of thinking, those ways of being, those ways of truly making our own selves frustrated or angry or sad, to leave that behind. And this is important because if you've been saying about anything in your life, I just don't care anymore, I just can't do that anymore, I won't do that anymore, I don't care if they don't like it, because why? You have moved on from that pattern of being more concerned about how other people feel than yourself. You've moved on from that. So I can't do that anymore because it's draining my energy. The way I've been doing you fill in the blank is not sustainable for me. Something's got to give. My well-being, my health, my fulfillment, my happiness is more important than you fill in the blank. Whatever it is that you have given your energy to in the past that you are now saying enough. And I also want to say that if something is leaving your life or has left your life, it can take time to release that because, on a very physical, emotional level, the soul moves on before we experience that healing in the physical body. The body, our human self, has to grieve. So we have to honor the fact that the grief process could still be going on, and grief has a timeline of its own, and it often comes in waves. And so if you find yourself in tears, maybe you're not even grieving something very specific that you can point to, but I can feel it because Pisces energy, we can feel it. I can feel that something is releasing. I can feel that something is letting go. And I always feel a sense of lightness afterward. So it's a beautiful thing. It's a gift. So who will most feel this transit? It is retrograding back to 29 degrees, the very last degree. It is what we call an anaretic degree. And this is why I'm saying that it will be most intense of all of the Neptune retrogrades in Pisces that we've had so far, because the 29th degree is the final culmination. It is where things come to a head. It is the last opportunity for each and every one of us in our lifetimes to receive from Neptune both the healing, but also the irritant, so that we can transform even more into that shimmering pearl. So who will most feel this? Those of you who have planets or points between 25 and 29 degrees of the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius. Also, those of you who have planets or points between 0 and 3 degrees of the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn. You will feel this most intensely. We are all going to feel it collectively, especially because it's happening at 29 degrees. And by the way, 29 degrees reduces to 11. It's a spiritual master number, and it represents self-mastery. So this is a transit in which we are meant to say yes to self-mastery, to get over that last hump so that we can open up even more as that lotus flower and receive the deep peace, the gift of deep peace and healing that Neptune and Pisces is offering us. Now, before I do the 12 sign readings, I want to take a moment to touch on what is coming up, because both Saturn and Neptune are retrograding in Pisces. And this is going to reveal or show you any cracks in the foundation of your emotional realms, your emotional body, where healing, self-love, compassion, radical self-acceptance will help you to shore up your emotional foundation. But also, if there are any cracks in the foundation of the dream, the new dream that you want for your life, what you want to bring into fruition, what you want to make reality, Saturn and Neptune retrograding both in Pisces will likely show you what needs to be restructured or rebuilt. And then when Saturn comes together with Neptune at 0 degrees, it's a world axis point. 0 degrees is another critical degree. Their conjunction represents making the new dream real, the new Aries dream. That is the burst of new possibility, the fresh start, the fire lit in your belly, what you just have to say yes to, what you just know you have to go for, even though you don't know how you're going to make it happen. It is inherent in Neptune and Aries is a challenge. There's definitely a challenge built into this. It will feel like a hero's journey, no question. And it will require that you take the reins of your life and you step out into the unknown like the fool in the tarot. It's a calling. It's a heart's true calling, the subtitle of my book. But we're going to get support. We're going to get support from the minor grand trine that I've been talking about in past videos. Super supportive. It is also being called the magic triangle by some astrologers. And it is support to Neptune and Saturn and Aries, support from Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius, bringing us new freedom to say yes to something, and the resources in the sense of personal empowerment that we need to be successful. I will say more about Saturn and Neptune moving back into Aries in February and this magic triangle. I will do a future video for you on that. But as we move to doing the 12 sign readings, I want to say there is a deeper purpose to this transit, and that is it's a dissolving an old you, a former you, a new soul essence is coming online, a new aspect of your energy that you have not even yet experienced. And so if you're asking or saying something's missing in my life, what more is out there for me? What am I meant to do? Who am I meant to be? Why have I not yet been able to manifest or pull into my life a job or career that's in alignment with me, or the freedom to retire if that's what I want, or financial independence, or radiant health, a soulmate relationship? If you're asking, why have I not been able to create that yet? This whole transit of Neptune and Pisces has been about clearing the past, clearing old karma, satisfying those karmic soul contracts. We are almost done with that. At least the Neptune and Pisces soul lessons, karmic lessons. We're always learning and growing. But if you are saying something is missing in my life, I want to leave you with this truth that when something feels missing in our lives, what is missing is you. When something feels missing in your life, what is missing is more of you. Your unconditionally loving, pure love, magical spirit. So let's use this last pass of Neptune in Pisces to reclaim the magic within each and every one of us so that we can feel that connection, that bliss of connecting with our own heart, our own spirit, the truth of who we are. This is how we will move more and more into alignment with what we came here to do, be, have, and experience. Okay, my beautiful friend, let us do the 12 sign readings now. Listen to your rising sign. This is the area of life in which you will experience, have been experiencing Neptune in Pisces for many years and will experience the retrograde of Neptune back into Pisces. But also listen to your sun and moon signs, because the themes from your sun and moon sign readings, along with the intuitive message that you receive from the cards that I'm going to pull, will most likely be enlightening on this journey of the next several months for you, as well as validating of anything that you've already experienced. Okay, so we're going to start with Pisces, because beautiful Pisces, Neptune has been in your sign since 2011. What has happened to you since then? This is an era of your life. Yes, it's a chapter, but it could have felt like many chapters in one lifetime. And many things, as I talk about in part one of this reading, many things could have, it was an evolutionary, has been and will be for the next several months, an evolutionary soul growth process for you. What does that mean? We know what that means. That means high points and low points, right? That means excitement and celebrations and new beginnings and endings and pain and healing through that pain. So I go into much more depth on the symptoms that you could be feeling from this retrograde transit in part one of this video. Pisces, of all people, I really hope that you will watch that, because I really go into a lot of, I give you a lot of tips, and I do my very best to validate anything that you could be feeling now. So I really would love for you to receive that. It's happening for you, Neptune retrograding back into your sign in your first house of identity. So over the last, since 2011, you could have changed a job, changed a role. Your title could have changed in your professional life. I know not everyone has a profession, but in your work life, in your, relationship status, any of the roles that you play in your life could have brought significant changes. It depends. When you have felt this transit depends on the degrees of the planets and points in your sign or the other mutable signs in your natal chart. If you have planets or points at the very high degrees, especially what I said in part one, 25 to 29 degrees, then you will feel this last pass more than others. It's very nuanced, because it also depends on the other transits going on in your chart as well. But since I can't see your chart right now, unless we do a reading together, I want to tell you generally for everyone that you could be feeling like you are in transition in your life. You could be feeling lost. You could be feeling like you're in between. You could be feeling in between worlds, the spiritual and the physical. You could be feeling like you're closing out a chapter of your life. You could be going through a healing process, especially physical vitality falls. Your vitality is connected to the first house. A relationship could be starting or ending. You could be celebrating a peak moment. You could be saying, okay, that chapter's over. You know, some of you could have retired or be retiring. Some of you could be going through a major career transition, a major relationship transition. It is a transitional time. You are preparing, you are letting go of the past, and you are preparing for a rebirth. Or you could have experienced that already if you've already, if you know, you're at your planets and points, the degrees that they're at, and Pisces or the other mutable signs are in the lower degrees, you could have already gone through that. But collectively, we're all going to feel this for sure. And you know, as a Pisces, that you feel everything, you feel the collective. That's what Pisces people do, you know, in a lot of ways, whether you relate to this on a very practical level or not. Energetically, Pisces, you bring an altruism into this lifetime. I believe you bring a desire to help other people heal on an emotional level, whether you would call yourself a healer. Maybe you're an artist. Pisces are very artistic. It could be your art that heals. It could be your just standing in line at the grocery store. Your energy brings healing to others. Obviously, very different for everyone. And now the light, speaking of light, your light, Pisces, is getting very strong. The sun is starting to beam through here. But if you feel like you are blessing an old chapter, saying farewell to a time in your life, and you don't know what's coming, it could feel a little bit anxiety provoking if that's the case. So I want to acknowledge that as well. Allow the rest that you need. Allow yourself to go through the emotional purge or cleanse if that's up for you. Get support if you need support. Most of you have probably already said no to self-sacrifice, to overgiving, and so forth, but you are meant to now embrace a new identity, Pisces, a new identity. A new version of yourself is coming online, a new soul essence. Again, watch part 1 if you want more on that, and let's pull a card for you now. And say hi to me in the comments if you want to, Pisces. I really love connecting with you. And thank you so much for your support of the channel, for your likes, for subscribing to the channel. I'm really glad that you're here and I very much appreciate you. Pisces. Your card is Follow the Moon, Watch for Signs. Yes, the magic of the signs and synchronicities. And you can see the butterfly, which is transformational image, right? It's symbolic of transformation. 3 butterfly here and 2 butterflies here, maybe symbolizing 2 butterflies, 2 soulmates in relationship. But all of the energy that's coming off of this butterfly, you have been through a transformation or are going through one. Follow the moon goddess, the divine feminine within you. Pisces, your card is the moon card in the tarot. Watch for signs. You are a blessing to the planet, beautiful Pisces. Aquarius, Aquarius, Aquarius. Beautiful Aquarius. Neptune is retrograding back for you into your 2nd house of money. That's your earned income, your self-worth, your material security. Your self-worth, your deserving, your sense of all of my material needs are met. Self-reliance. This is the journey that you have been on with Neptune transiting your 2nd house since 2011. That is a big deal, Aquarius. I wonder if you have felt the shift. What is that shift? Watch part 1 of this video for the deeper dive on that. But the big picture of it is that Neptune has been dissolving an old identity for each and every one of us, an old self, the coping mechanisms, the ways that the conditioning that we brought into this life. That did help us to survive through difficult things, many of us. Neptune has helped us wash away what isn't authentic and true to who we are. And we'll move back into Aries January 26th, but Neptune and Saturn will make a conjunction in February of 2026. That is going to be your moving forward energy. Right now, we're finishing out a transition. If you feel in transition with your income, if you feel in transition with a job, if you are still working on, or maybe culminating, or maybe this has been your journey that you've really been working on, a journey of self-love, of deserving, of increasing your self-worth, earning more money if you wanted to, figuring out the ways that work best with your energy, Aquarius, to feel that your material needs are met. Any of these things could be happening. It's a retrograde, so that's the RE words: redo, release, review, reassess, and so forth. In these specific themes of your life, you could also be celebrating a peak moment. You could be preparing for the rebirth that is meant to happen for you in your third house of a local environment, which could be a new local environment. You could be moving to a new environment. You could be getting a whole new social circle, people you hang out with in wherever you live. You could be starting a website. I mean, these are all Neptune and Aries themes, so I don't want to go too deep into that. That's the next video when we get closer to Neptune going back into Aries. But that is the area in which communication and mindset in which you are preparing for a rebirth. So Aquarius, let us see what the cards have to say for you for this retrograde of Neptune, the last pass in our lifetimes of Neptune going back into Pisces. Aquarius, do you feel that you've grown in self-reliance, in taking care of your material needs, in your self-worth and your income and or income? This is what this transit has been helping you with, and I would love to hear. Leave me a comment, let me know, and I want to take a moment to thank you for your support, for subscribing to the channel, for liking my videos, and all the ways that you are here and present in this community. Thank you. Aquarius, your card is the past, moon memories. I mean, this transit is about looking back at the past. You may have wonderful memories. Look at this card. It's a beautiful memory. They're walking on white sand. It looks like they're in Greece or something, right? They're on a tropical beach. And there are these lovely palm trees. I mean, this card is so beautiful and peaceful and serene and buoyant, right? So I believe the message of this card is to go back to your past, or if you are having flashbacks to the past, choose those moments of bliss, like this card, the moments that take you back to a time when you were supremely happy and fulfilled, and use that tool of going back to a memory, because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between past, present, or future. And take that energy in, let it be infused into every cell of your body so that your new creations can also be infused with the same beautiful energy of what your heart most wants. Capricorn, hello, beautiful Capricorn. Capricorn, Neptune is transiting back into Pisces, retrograding in your third house. Your third house is the house of moving and shaking, transportation. It's all the ways we move around in our local environment, the people we talk to, neighbors, landlords, aunts, uncles, cousins, siblings, the sign of mindset and communication, the sign that is connected to freelance work, writing, websites, short trips. It is a Mercury ruled house. It's a very busy house. Neptune has been here for you since 2011 in your third house. So what have you created? This is a great time to look back over this last about 14 years. It'll fully be 15 years when Neptune leaves Pisces and goes into Aries. What has happened in this area of your life? It's a great time to do a life review on that and to look at what has changed. What visions did you have, or vision did you have? What became reality? What is now closing out, or has been perhaps in the last year or so, closing out, ending, changing? And how do you want to, energy doesn't die, right? Energy that we put into something that is no longer what we're doing, that needs a new place, that needs a new vision, that needs a new dream. So we're in that process. We're in transition. We're leaving, we're moving our energy from one thing to the other. Or if not that, maybe you're doing a lot of the same things, but maybe you're doing them differently. Maybe we're healing any cracks in the foundation of what we did before. If it's not working, we are shoring up our foundation. We are infusing new life with Neptune moving into Aries. We're infusing new life into our dreams. So redoing, releasing, healing, blessing, and saying farewell to what has run its course, allowing any emotional cleansing. You could be celebrating a peak moment. This is a good time to celebrate anything that is over for you so that we can mark it. And we, it reminds me of this phrase of concept of conscious uncoupling. You could be uncoupling with a business. You could be uncoupling with a kind of work that you did on a freelance level, or you could be stepping into freelance work. You could be uncoupling with a way of seeing life, or a way of seeing yourself, or a story that you had about your life, or a story that you've had about who you are. Same with any of those relationships that I mentioned, siblings and other extended family members. And some of you could be changing a location, or maybe you recently did. But Capricorn, Neptune is preparing you for the new dream. And we got a taste of that new dream with Neptune in Aries. We got a taste of it for several months. Now we're going back to Pisces and then going back to put our energy fully into the new dream. And that for you will happen in your 4th house of home, family, roots, belonging. But we're not there yet. So let's see what the cards have to say for where we are right now. And this is language too. It's language, it's thinking, it's storytelling, it's the way we frame things. So you want to be giving, I believe, we want to be giving our experiences what's leaving, what's entering, what's changed. We want to be putting them in a positive frame so that we can feel like we are the masters of our life. We are empowered. We're not looking at circumstances around us and blaming those circumstances, or saying, well, if it weren't for this or that, then I could have what I wanted, right? I go much more into all of these things that could be going on in part 1 of this video. So watch that if you don't feel fully in your power, if you are frustrated, if you are annoyed, if you do feel like things need to be different in the world, you're not alone. That's a lot of people, right? That are on a human level, there are a lot of things to be anxious or frustrated about right now. But for us to ascend into a new identity, a new spiritual identity, which is what Neptune wants for us, so that we can make that new dream real, we have to take back our power. So let's see what the cards have to say for you, Capricorn. And you are a builder. You are the mountain climber. You love new goals. You love work. So I have full faith in you, beautiful Capricorn. And thank you so much for your support of my channel. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing if you haven't yet subscribed. Your support means a world of difference, and I very much appreciate it and love having you in this community. And your card is, go for it. Reach for the moon. Yes, yes, yes. Here you are, Capricorn. All this golden energy, this very earthy toned energy reminds me of you. Reach for the moon. This is saying go for that new goal. Step into that begin to climb that new mountain if you're ready. If you're not ready because there are things in your mindset, especially, or in your immediate world that feel like they're in the way, then that is what you are meant to focus on, moving that stuff, reframing, so that you can then go on to your new goal, reaching for the moon. Beautiful Capricorn. Sagittarius, Sagittarius, beautiful Sagittarius. Sag, you will experience Neptune retrograding back into Pisces in your 4th house of home, family, childhood conditioning, the house of belonging and roots, the place where you want to feel in your sanctuary. So what does this mean to have Neptune go back into Pisces in these areas? For a lot of us, this phase of the next several months is going to be about putting closure on something. You could be putting closure on family relationships. You could be saying goodbye to a home that you've been in and preparing to move into a new home. You could be doing ancestral healing. You could be finishing up an important phase of your own deep healing, because the 4th house is connected to, it's the most personal point of our chart, is our very inner like emotional world. And of course, anything to do with your actual home or family could be in flux for you right now. This is a transit of transition. We're in transition. And I talk about this at length in part 1 of this video. But you could feel like a phase of your life is closing out. And you could feel it either in this 4th house arena, or you could feel it in career, or both. Like your life purpose could be changing, your you know, this is an angle of your chart, the fourth house. When we have a transit on the angle of our chart, we're often making a big decision, and it can affect any area of our life. It can affect a partnership, a friendship, where we live, where we work, how we work, you know, what we do for a living, and so on, or how we spend our time if we're retired. So you could be celebrating a peak moment. You could be, it's a death and rebirth cycle, Neptune. So something could have died in your life. For each and every one of us, there is a part of us that has gone through a death cycle. And I mean that on a metaphorical level, a part of us that we no longer need, a conditioned self that we no longer need, because an essence of who we were, because we are moving, we've grown immensely on a soul growth level, most of us. So we're moving into that new Aries dream, and that new Aries dream for you is going to happen in your fifth house of love and romance, children and creativity, pleasure and comfort. So you have a lot to look forward to. I'll do a separate video on that when we get closer to it. Sag, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you for being a part of this community, for subscribing, for liking this video, for sharing, for all the ways that you do, your comments. I really appreciate them. And let's see what the cards have to say for you. Sag. Sag, your card is Changes, the Quicksilver Moon. What I love about this card is that she is surrounded by these swans. She is clearly in her sensual self. This reminds me of fifth house energy. She's wearing what looks like a sort of a mermaid gown. She's like feeling her beauty, right? She's feeling her beauty, and she's shining her light out. There's the light of the full moon behind her, these beautiful swans, and a lot of gold in this card, a lot of abundance in this card. You are abundant, Sag. Everything that you need is going to be provided for you. But let yourself feel the beauty of you. Let yourself feel your physicality and your what are the words? Your why is it escaping me? It's like I mean, sensuality is the best word for it, but it's like that feeling that we get in our body of bliss and ecstasy, it's the embodiment of the divine, really, in the big picture. It's the embodiment of your divinity, and the divine feminine. It really is. She's embodying the divine feminine, and the swans just show that much more. And if you don't think of yourself as a swan, think of that story of the ugly duckling, right? Where the duckling realizes he or she is actually a swan. Maybe that's a message for you as well. Quicksilver, it may happen more quickly than you are expecting. The changes are exciting, and they are for you. And if you want to claim your beautiful Quicksilver changes in the comments below, I would love to hear, beautiful Sag. Scorpio, hello, beautiful Scorpio. Scorpio, you are going to experience this transit of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces in your fifth house. How has your life changed since 2011, when Neptune first entered Pisces in your fifth house of creativity, true love, and romance, your house of your own free, unbridled expression? How have things changed? Because Neptune probably, for many of you, could have brought one very intense romance that could have ended in realizing something was a projection, or not. Maybe it truly was a soulmate that you were meant to be with and are still with. That's very possible. But Neptune transiting the fifth house is often extremely igniting for our creativity. Our imagination is like off the charts, fertile, and you could have had a child during this time if you wanted a child. You could have, or not, because Neptune, sometimes when we have a fifth house Neptune transit, we can be disappointed. We can have a dream that doesn't come true. It doesn't mean that it won't come true ever. It means that we were meant to grow through that disillusionment or disappointment. We were meant to learn, grow, and become new again through the pain of that experience. And I know that that's our human self just says, screw that. I don't want that. I mean, I would have used a different word I don't want to use that other word, but you know what I'm saying? Like that, I don't want to underestimate the pain of that. But now that we're at the very last degrees of this transit, There is a final washing away, releasing, letting go that we're meant to do if we haven't done that yet. If we aren't fully into, okay, what's the next thing? I'm excited for this. If we don't feel our excitement, if we don't feel that new beginning coming on with Neptune going into Aries for good in January of 2026, we're meant to do that emotional clearing, closing out, processing our feelings, and so forth. Much more I have said about that in part 1 of this video. If any of that resonates, please go back and watch that. If you want to know the symptoms of a Neptune retrograde and Pisces transit, I go through those in part 1 of this video as well. But you could very well feel you're in transition in love, romance, creativity, or with your children and parenting. You could be working on changing your parenting in some way, up-leveling, upgrading a relationship, or your creativity, or excited to put something out into the world that is coming from your own creative juices. It's a transit of redoing, releasing, blessing, and saying farewell to whatever is no longer in alignment with you as well. You could be celebrating a peak moment. So as you prepare for a rebirth in the 6th house, that's where your new dream is going to be, the 6th house of daily work, health, and lifestyle, creating work, health, and lifestyle that is optimal for you. That's the future. We'll talk about that when we get closer to it. As you are preparing and releasing something or ending something or, celebrating something in the 5th house, let's see what the cards have to say for you, Scorpio. And thank you so much for your support of my work in this channel. Thank you for liking and subscribing and commenting. It really means the world to me, and your subscribes, they make a huge difference. So thank you for doing so if you haven't yet done so. Beautiful Scorpio, your card is Night Moon Shadow Work. Some of you have a little bit more emotional cleansing to do. What does shadow work mean? It has become almost a cliche now in the spiritual community, right? But shadow work basically means opening up to what could lurk underneath the surface of things that you are not aware of. And it's not just dark emotions, fear and sadness, anger, grief. It's not just that. It can also be our lightest light. It could be a part of us that we haven't claimed because we put it in the shadows because we thought that it wouldn't be accepted or loved by others. So shadow work really means bringing out into the light all sides of you, loving the parts of you that maybe feel like they don't get enough love, celebrating the parts of you and giving permission to that part of you that maybe hasn't shined in your life yet because they felt like their light wasn't welcome. So you get the idea. That's what this card is saying to you, beautiful Scorpio. If anything that I shared in this reading resonates and you want to share it with me or with the rest of us in the comments, we would love to hear. Libra. Hello, beautiful Libra. Libra, you are going to experience the very last pass in our lifetime, the very last pass of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces in your 6th house of daily work, health, and lifestyle, your wellness on all levels, any routines that are habits. Neptune here, when Neptune transits a house, it's saying, what is your ideal? What's your vision? What's your dream here? So you could have gone through a real process with that over the last 14 years since Neptune entered Pisces in 2011. As I say in part 1 of this video, it's a great time to go back and review and look at your dreams, your visions, what was made into reality, what wasn't. It's not too late to still experience your dream job. For example, that could be a 6th house thing, or your optimal health, or ending a habit. Basically this is the house of optimizing your energy, managing your energy to a level and degree, creating a lifestyle that really makes your heart sing. So we're still in that, Libra. We have a few more months of that, and some of you could be grieving the loss of a job. Some of you could have gone through a health crisis with Neptune here. Some of you could have really been working to create an ideal daily life kind of lifestyle or situation for yourself. A great thing to look back over and know that if you are still in that process of saying goodbye to something, releasing, letting go, This is the time for that. Allow any emotional cleansing, celebrate what you have accomplished, what has been the highlight of the last 11 years, and know that if you're saying there are no highlights, it's been just one karmic relationship after another, that could be the case too. It is the sun, the Neptune in Pisces is connected to karmic contracts. A lot of us have been doing so much karmic clearing since 2011 that you could feel like it's just been a lot of pain and a lot of processing and a lot of loss and stress. And I know not everyone has experienced that. We're all different. Our astrology charts are unique. How this transit has affected you is completely dependent on the planets and points in your natal astrology chart. So this is obviously a general reading. It has to be because I can't see your chart unless we do a private reading. But Libra, what's most important is, what does your heart want now? Is there anything keeping you from that? Is there anything that you have yet to clear as an obstacle out of the way so that you can have what your heart most wants? And know that when Neptune goes back into Aries for good to stay in January of 2026, that's when you begin your new Neptune cycle in the 7th house of partnerships. So that's very exciting. And, you know, Neptune can bring disappointment and disillusionment too. So we'll do a whole separate video on that, but that's what you have to look forward to, is dreaming the new dream in partnership, whatever that means. If you don't want to be partnered in romance, then maybe partnering with your own soul, which is what my book is about. If you want to check it out, the link is in the comments below. So Libra, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your presence. Thank you so much for giving this video a thumbs up and sharing it, and for subscribing, because without you, I wouldn't be here. So I really do genuinely want to thank you. Libra, let's see what your card is. Libra, your card is releasing moonset. So I love this card because I love the hands. I love the hands holding up the moon. And to me, this is a very witchy kind of a card. It's like, it reminds me of Pluto energy, actually. And this is a Neptune transit, but you can see this person in this cape. There's movement in this card. They're moving. It almost looks like they're dancing. And then the hands holding up the moon, which to me are saying, embrace your darkness. And we all have darkness. We all come into this world with darkness, shadow and light. I feel like this card is saying, embrace your shadow. Go into the emotions. Face, I don't like the word face. Get in touch with, lean into any emotions that you're feeling with this last pass of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces. Move the energy by, you know, we release sadness, anger, all of that stuff through movement, sound, and tears. Movement, sound, and tears. Or sometimes, you know, we get the washcloth and we hit it against the wall and we let the anger come up and we say whatever you want to say that helps you to release that anger. There are constructive ways to deal with anger too. But big picture, this is saying you've got everything you need. It's time to release the past. It's time to release something that is setting, moonset, something that's setting, something that's ending in your life so that you can move forward. Beautiful Libra, if this resonates and you want to leave me a comment, I love hearing from you. Virgo, hello, beautiful Virgo. Virgo, you are going to experience the very last pass of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces in your 7th house of partnerships. And Virgo, I know you are one of the mutable signs who have experienced this transit so intensely. And I really want to validate for you that if it's been hard for you, especially in relationship or in your own identity, whatever you're in relationship to, I really want to validate what you've been through, because when we have an outer planet like Neptune opposing any of the outer planets, whether they're Pluto, Saturn, and you've had Saturn and Neptune opposing your energy. Oppositions can be the hardest transits to go through. So I really want to validate for you that you have been through a very transformational time. You could have experienced a breakup of a significant relationship, either in business or in romance, of marriage, for example. You could have definitely felt disillusioned. Someone could have definitely really hurt you. I mean, I'm not saying this to put you in the place of saying that you're victimized, because that's the last thing this transit wants. This transit wants us to say, here's all the pain, here's what I went through, and now I'm processing my emotions so I can step into my power and be new again. That's what this transit wants from us. But we still have to validate the pain that we've been through, right? And the hardness that we've been to, and the crisis for some of you. Something, relationships may have formed and dissolved during the same exact transit since 2011. So you could still feel like you're in transition, whether it's in a relationship or a job, a career. It's an angle of your chart, the 7th house. So it could be any of these areas. It could be also your home or family could have changed. All of these things could have changed for you, Virgo. For some of you, they probably have. It's been a real era for you of healing, growth, and spiritual ascension. If you've been working the light, so to speak, if you've been doing the healing work as you've been going through this, this has been a transit for you of spiritual growth, evolution, and ascension that really is important to celebrate you and how far you've come. So often on a retrograde, if we've already done all of that, then you could spend this time. I would journal about it. I would write out a life review, or the last chapter review, the era of Neptune and Pisces review. Write it all down so that you can cement even more in your own awareness what you've moved through and how you've grown. And celebrate your wins, celebrate your growth, and especially acknowledge that you're new again. Because a lot of times we can be afraid that we're going to fail, or that we're going to have, and I don't believe there's such a thing as failure, but often that's what our human self calls it, right? That we can't have future successes because of our past. So if there's anything lingering, that any reasons that your mind is telling you why you can't have what you most want going forward, which for you will be in your 8th house, the 8th house themes of emotional and sexual intimacy, or it could be buying a home or selling a home. It could be investments and stabilizing your financial future. A lot of different things, but it's a relationship and a money house. So it could be starting a new business, anything that you consider an asset, financial asset, or working with somebody professionally, or clients, or partnering with another person, either in your personal life or your professional life. That's what's coming. That's your new dream with Neptune and Aries, which we've already had a taste of the last 7 months. So most likely you know what that dream is, but I'll do a video on that as we get closer to it. And right now we're in the 7th house realm still as we move towards the 8th house realm. So Virgo, let's see what the cards have to say. And before I pull a card, I want to thank you for your presence, for your support of my work, for your liking my videos and subscribing to my channel, and knowing that we're doing this together in community. It's what is keeping me here, your support. So thank you so much. And let's now see what your card is, Virgo. Your card is, yes, Moon Called. This is about a calling, meant to be. When I say it's meant to be, what comes to you? If you've been asking a question about, should I do this or that? This is saying, yes, it's meant to be. This card reminds me of the 3 of Cups in the tarot, the 3 women celebrating together. And you can see, it looks like she is conducting the 3 of them, but it could be too that she's just got her arms open wide to receive. They're all angels, or these 2 are angels. So another message to be in conversation with your angels, to ask for and receive their support, to thank them, and know that you are meant to follow a calling, beautiful Virgo. If you want to share what your calling is in the comments, I would love to hear. It's meant to be. Leo, hello, beautiful Leo. Leo, you are experiencing the very last pass in our lifetimes of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces for the next several months until January 26th of 2026. that is happening for you in your 8th house of relationships, in which we share time, money, and resources, and finances. Long-term assets are the finances of the 8th house. Investments, also just kind of our financial wellness when it comes to the debt that we have, if we have debt. It's like the long term, it's like the nest egg fits here if you're building a nest egg, or just, where we receive money from other people. Sometimes we can receive an inheritance, sometimes we receive extra blessings financially from other people, from clients, etc. That can be this house as well, but also spiritual, emotional, deep intimacy. This is the house of deep, deep intimacy, those courageous conversations we have with partners, whether it's business or romantic. And do we feel like, the give and take in a relationship when it comes to material things and time and money and all of that? Does it feel balanced? That's a question we ask in the 8th house. So this is where Neptune has been for you. And wherever Neptune transits, that's where we want an ideal. We have a vision. We have a sense of, this is what I want to feel fulfilled. So what has that been for you, Leo? This is a good time to look back on that and say, what has it been for me? Has what I most wanted during the last 14 years, since 2011, has it come to fruition? Am I letting go of something? Am I releasing a fantasy? Am I releasing something that didn't come to pass the way I thought it would come to pass, and so on? This is a transformational energy. It was meant to grow. Neptune's always meant to grow us. I know it can feel kind of like a spiritual, what's the word? Like, okay, spirit, or my own higher self, my own soul, you drew me into this thing. You gave me this strong heart's longing just so you could cause something to happen that I wasn't expecting, and I would grow spiritually as a result of it. Sometimes it can feel like that. Like, this doesn't feel quite fair. But I don't think I think that's a human interpretation, and a very real and understandable, natural human interpretation. I think the truth of it is that our soul does have deep longings. And by the way, wherever you have your natal Neptune in your chart is where you have a heart's desire or a deep longing, I believe, from your soul. But transit wise, this was important for you. It was a big part of your soul's journey. And we don't know how things are going to turn out, because we have free will and our human self is growing and learning. And so I think that, it all comes from a very pure place of growth and desire and so on. Leo, you could find yourself in transition right now. You could be closing out a chapter. You could be going through a healing process. You could find yourself in a spiritual ascension process, and it could be playing out through the themes that I mentioned a few minutes ago in this house, or celebrating a peak moment. Some of you could be releasing some sort of a financial asset or a debt. You could be closing something out financially. You could be moving on from that. You could be moving on from a relationship. You could have gone through a divorce. You could have cut ties to a person, either in business or romance. You could be dividing up assets and all of that. But you are moving toward a new beginning, a rebirth in your 9th house of expansion, learning, growth, and for some of you, putting a message out into the world, teaching, starting a school program, some of you starting some sort of learning program, or long distance travel, moving to another country. It's wherever you would like new scenery. It's a house of seeking. That's what you're moving toward as Neptune moves into Aries. I'll do a separate video on that as we get closer. So I'm going to pull a card for you now. And I want to take a moment to thank you for being with me for this video. Thank you for liking it. Thank you for your support of my work by subscribing, by being here, by watching. I truly, truly appreciate you, Leo. I would not be here if it weren't for your support. Let's see what the cards have to say for you. Leo. Boundaries. Okay, for those of you who need it, this is a message of where can you set a boundary that will be honoring of you, self-respecting of you. Is there a person or situation that is out of bounds for you, that has crossed a boundary in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit? This is a out of bounds moon metaphor for what you could be experiencing. There are multiple people crossing through a desert. It could make you feel like you're in a desert, but the green energy shows that there's a heart healing for you. As you use your throat chakra, the blue, to communicate a boundary. Beautiful Leo, if this resonates or anything that I shared resonates and you want to leave me a comment, I would love to hear. Cancer. Hello, beautiful Cancer. Cancer, I have my moon and rising in Cancer. You are going to experience this very last pass in your lifetime of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces for the next several months until January 26, 2026. You are going to experience it in your 9th house of expansion, Cancer. I love singing that word expansion. Why? Because it's an energy that fills our sails, it fills our heart. Who doesn't want to expand? Higher learning, your philosophies, seeking, teaching a course, publishing, broadcasting, podcasting, long distance travel. What did you do? What have you done so far since 2011 with Neptune and Pisces? Really fun to look back on, I think, and see what did you take on? What was your vision? What worked? What didn't? I moved to Mexico, long distance travel, but I didn't stay there because it wasn't my place. So it was, and I did have my bubble burst there in certain respects. But am I glad I did it? Absolutely. It was the adventure that I needed to have to grow. That's very Neptunian. What has it been for you, Cancer? I would love to hear. Leave me a comment. I'd love to hear. And what are you being called to now? Because the new calling for you is, and before I talk about the new calling, you are in transition, many of you, in terms of your expansion right now, in terms of your learning. You could have studied so much in the last, since 2011. You could have just been like a regular machine when it comes to learning new things. I think I've learned a lot of new things since 2011. This has been a real period of expansion, growth, learning. How have you, maybe you published something too. I published my book during this transit. I know not everybody is writing books, but like you could have published or spoken about or communicated something that's very important to you during this time. A lot of different ways that can play out, of course. And you could be feeling like that chapter of your life is either closing out or changing in some way. Maybe the way that you did something, you would do it differently this time, and you will do it differently this time. You could be embracing a new life direction. You could be, you could want to redo. You could want to redo. Like for me, I moved to Mexico. I don't want to live in Puerto Vallarta again, but would I live someplace else in the future that's in an exotic country? Maybe. I don't plan to do that over the next few months. But, the world is our oyster, and this is not our only opportunity to make a decision that is very much out of the box for us, right? However, Neptune has been growing you during this time. It's been growing all of us and expanding those of us who've had Neptune transiting in our 9th house. You could have learned another language. You could have learned another culture. You could have really ascended spiritually, meaning when I say that, I mean grown. You could have learn to apply radical self-acceptance and deep self-compassion to yourself, to your life, to other people. Done a lot of forgiveness. You could have released relationships with people in the 3rd house, which is the house opposite this 9th house, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. So Cancer, you are now being guided to do that final cleansing, clearing emotionally, letting go, no longer identifying with your past, but identifying with your future instead. And that future would be something to do with your 10th house of career, life purpose expressed, retirement for some of you, how you spend your time. Something new coming up for you. Could have felt it when Neptune has already been in Aries since March 30th, the last 7 months. You could have felt it during that time. But we're really going to come out with whatever that is, most of us, I think, more and more in late January. Prepare for a rebirth of your career, a rebirth of your life purpose expressed, or changing how you spend your time. Does any of that resonate with you, Cancer? If so, I'd love to hear. Leave me a comment. I want to thank you for your time and energy. I want to thank you for watching this video. I want to thank you for subscribing so my channel can grow so I can keep doing these videos and give what I'm here on this planet to give. So Cancer, let us see what the cards have to say for you. Cancer. Forgiveness. Ah, the full moon forgiveness. What a great message. I mean, this is the message for all of us, right? All of us Cancer people. You know, maybe we need to forgive ourselves for having expectations that are not always met. That's kind of a Cancer thing, right? Cancers can really have high expectations. What I give, I will receive back. That's not always the case, especially for Cancer people. We are learning how to receive, Cancer people, how to receive abundance, how to receive the love, how to receive the support that we give others. So that may resonate, or maybe there's somebody else in your life that you are meant to forgive so that you can fully drop any emotional baggage, any emotional weight, and soar into your new beginning when Neptune finishes its stint in Pisces and moves into Aries. Beautiful Cancer. Gemini. Hello, beautiful Gemini. Gemini, I have my natal sun in Gemini. Gemini people are going to experience this transit of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces for the last time in our lifetimes. We are going to experience this in our 10th house of career, legacy, life purpose express, retirement, semi-retirement, how you want to spend your time. What does this mean? It means that for Gemini people, there's been shifting, moving waters. Neptune and Pisces, the waters have shifted in career or in your purpose or your passion, your vocation. Maybe for some of you, you are wanting to have more freedom in your career. Maybe you're wanting to be more, Uranus is in your sign after all. Uranus says, be more authentically you. Maybe you're wanting to bring more of your natural quirkiness to what you do. I try to bring my natural quirkiness to what I do. Some people like it, some people hate it. It is what it is. We have to be brave, Geminis. We have to be brave and follow our own hearts. So that's a message for someone. But also, what do you want to change in career? What has changed for you since 2011? I bet that you have had many renditions of your career or how you spend your time, what you do. You've had many, at least more than one rendition of that, Gemini, since 2011. It could be simply various projects that have changed, or how you approach those projects, how you express yourself. I changed from doing just spiritual coaching to adding astrology. So that was a big change for me. And let me know what any changes you've made too, if you want to share in the comments. I would love to hear. This energy of Pisces, Neptune and Pisces, has squared your energy. When we get squares, that puts us into action. It motivates us. We make changes. It can be an up-leveling. It can be an ascension, meaning that we grow spiritually from the hardships, from the pain, from the growing pains, right, Gems? So let me know if you've experienced that too. But you could still find yourself in transition right now, career-wise. Sometimes when Neptune is leaving, we see something that's not sustainable for us anymore. Something in the way we do our work. So maybe it's our audience, maybe it's how we help people. We've been overgiving, we've been self-sacrificing, we've not received back this to the same degree what we've given. And we're tired. We're tired and we don't want to keep doing it that way. So you could be feeling that too. And we're meant to change that up in some way. It's okay if you don't know how yet. That's the new Aries dream that's coming. And when Neptune moves into Aries for you, it's going to be a moment of rebirth or a period of rebirth. And that's going to be your 11th house of supportive allies, friendships, the world card in the tarot, branding and promoting. So something new could be coming. You could feel a lot more supported when Neptune moves more fully into Aries after it does this retrograde in Pisces. So you could be celebrating a peak moment. You could have already celebrated that. It's going to be different for everyone, but if there's any emotional cleansing that is yet to happen, any release of what hasn't gone the way you wanted it to, Gemini, this is the time during this transit, because you're one of the ones most affected, Gemini, as a mutable sign by this Pisces energy, and it brings some tension in that you have to relieve by taking action. I really encourage you to watch part 1 of this video, because that's where I give you the symptoms of a Neptune in Pisces transit, and I really validate what you could be going through during this transit. So let's see what the cards have to say. For Gemini. Seek healing, a healing moon. The beauty of nature. Geminis love beauty. Geminis love to create beauty, most gems. We channel energy through our hands, whether we're doing it with speaking, we're creating, we're crafting, right, gems? We are multi-talented. We have many different facets, most of us. We can do a lot of different things. For some of you, it may have been hard with Neptune transiting your 10th house because you may not have felt like you settled on any one thing. That's hard for Geminis, especially in this culture where we're supposed to specialize. But you have been through a journey of blossoming the flowers. You have been blossoming regardless of what your outer life looks like. And if you need to feel some healing in any area of your life, seek it, because this is the time, these last few months. It's a healing time for you. Beautiful gems. You could be healing physically. You could be healing on a deep childhood experience kind of level, or you could be going through a spiritual rebirth. Whatever it is, if you want to share in the comments below, I would love to hear. Taurus. Hello, beautiful Taurus. Taurus. Neptune retrograding back into Pisces for you is happening in your 11th house of friendships, allies, supporters. The 11th house is the world card in the tarot. It is where we have a full circle completion and a sense of the world is my oyster. What do I want next? Sometimes that gives us the desire for travel. You could have been, since Neptune was in Pisces, you could have been branding or promoting a business or something else, a product, a service. You could have built a social media platform. You could have been seeking fulfillment. This is the house of fulfillment. You could have had friendships that came and went, you know, where the rose-colored glasses came off, where somebody came off a pedestal, or where you came off someone else's pedestal. You know, that's really hard. And I talk about that at more length in the first part of this video. Businesses could have come and gone for you. Communities, same thing. You could have completely changed your worldview. You could have completely changed your view of life. And you could still have found or still find yourself in transition, closing out a chapter. A romance could have come and gone as well, because the 5th house of romance is across from this house. You could have had stuff go on with your children. If you have children, that has been difficult. Neptune ultimately is about a deep heart's longing, a vision, a dream, and sometimes our bubble gets burst and we go through a growth process as a result. So any of that could have happened for you. Look back to 2011 between then and now and notice what has happened for you since then. What dreams are still alive for you? What dreams are over? What do you feel accomplished with and ready to move on from, Taurus? This could be a deeply not retrospective. Well, I guess it is retrospection, but also what I meant to say was a deeply reflective process and time for you. Redoing, releasing, healing, blessing your past, saying farewell, allowing an emotional clearing, a karmic closure to any kind of friendship, romance, group, anything that you put time and energy into, but it's over for you now. You've learned the lessons, especially I think for a lot of you with people who you would have considered your dream team, your supporters, your friendships. Some of that has shifted. Not all of your friendships by any means, but you know, we grow on a spiritual path. We grow with some people, we separate from some people. We all know that experience, most of us on this path. You're preparing for a rebirth in your 12th house of awakening. When Neptune firmly goes into Aries for good, you could have already gotten some of that with Neptune in Aries for a short time for this past 7 months. But it's moving into your house of rest and retreat and spiritual awakening and your inner mystic. I'll say more about that in a separate video when we get closer to that time. But in the meantime, let's see what the cards have to say for you, Taurus. And I want to say thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for liking this video, sharing it with others, your comments. I really appreciate them. And I so appreciate you subscribing to the channel. That is how the channel grows. That's how I can continue doing the work. So thank you to those of you who are loyal supporters or are starting to be a loyal supporter. Now in this moment, I really appreciate it. Let's see what the cards have to say for you, Taurus. Taurus, your card is take a risk. The Moonflower. It's a new road. It's a new path, Taurus. This is such a beautiful card. You are ready for a new path. It's a golden rainbow, abundance, Taurus, the beautiful tropical flowers in their full bloom, all the purple, your crown chakra, your spiritual ascension. You have come a long way in your spiritual connection, I believe, in ascending to a higher vibrational frequency, such that you are now a vibrational match for what your heart most wants. Get on the road, get on that. Some of you may be taking a road trip, some of you may be doing this travel in your own mind and visualizing, sensing, feeling, co-creating what is ahead for you. But look at all the light. What is ahead for you are all good things, beautiful Taurus. If you want to claim that you're taking a risk, that you're saying yes to the next phase of your journey, let us know in the comments below. Aries. Hello, beautiful Aries. Aries, you will experience the very last pass of Neptune in Pisces retrograding for a final few months in your 12th house of spiritual awakening, the house of rewiring the subconscious mind, the house of deep, intense dreams, especially with Neptune there. I can imagine, leave me a comment if you want to share. I'd love to hear that you have really been through it with what we call karmic relationships, that you really have done what we call the closure of karmic soul contracts. You have done a lot of growth in this process, Aries. I would be surprised if you hadn't. I think some of you have had some amazing awakenings through possibly out-of-body experiences or nighttime dreams, gotten messages from the divine. This is a very psychic house. It's a house where we channel. You could have become a psychic medium. You could have become a tarot reader or an astrologer. You could do a lot of work on an intuitive level, if not professionally, in your own everyday life. And Aries, you could still find yourself in a transitional phase over the next several months. Now, after all, Aries, you've gotten that taste of Neptune in your sign. That happened between March 30th and the present time until October 22nd. Neptune in your sign in your first house, that could have really ignited you. But now we are all being supported to go back to that Pisces house, which for you is the 12th house, and do any last cleaning out of the garage, any last cleanup work, any last sweeping up what needs to be swept up, or getting the hose in there and purging, letting wash away, hosing out any muck that we can't get with the broom, letting go of that stuff that can hold on tightly. Our emotions can hold on tightly to things even when we're not aware of it. Because Aries, you are so full of fire. Fire does transform, but you, generally speaking, it depends on your whole chart, all the planets and points in your chart. If you have a lot of water in your chart, this wouldn't apply to you. But a lot of times the Aries people, they don't want to stop and feel their feelings. And I'm not saying that all of you are in that applies to all of you by any means. Big picture though, Aries energy in and of itself wants to move, wants to go, wants to not think about things. There are a lot of attributes in that, a lot of positives. This transit, however, what has it meant for you? This Pisces transit, having Neptune in your 12th house. If you want to share, I'd love to hear in the comments. I really appreciate your comments. I appreciate your presence here. I'll just take a moment to say thank you for all the ways that you have given back to this channel. Some of you donated. A lot of you have subscribed. Many of you haven't. So if you could take a moment right now to subscribe, your subscribes make all the difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you for your presence. Aries, you are preparing for a rebirth. You're preparing for a rebirth in your first house of you. If you haven't had it yet, this is your I'm coming out. I'm coming out. I want the world to know. I've got to let it show. Aries, you're preparing for that. If you haven't felt it strongly or been ready when Neptune first moved into your sign, it only got to 2 degrees. And even those of us who had a activation of a planet or point in our chart, that was a beginning. It was just a beginning. It was just a taste. So there's a lot ahead for you, beautiful Aries, with your rebirth and for the first house of you. I won't go into it anymore because I'll do a separate video for you on that. But it is big for you, a big, very possibly shift in identity, new roles, new relationships, new empowerment for sure. So Aries, let us see what the cards have to say for you. Beautiful Aries. Your boldness, your courage, your willingness to rise to the occasion of a challenge, Aries, that is one of your superpowers, and that is going to take you far as you close out this transit and move into the next one of your Neptune in your sign. Aries, this is such a perfect card for you. Aries, would you say that patience is a strength of yours? I have Mars in Aries. I definitely will say that patience has not been a strength, but maybe that's what you've had to grow with Neptune in Pisces. Leave me a comment. Let me know if that's true, because this is your card. Aries, patience. Moon cycles. These are the cycles of our manifestations, right? As the moon moves into different cycles, that's how we plant our seeds of intention, how we energize them, how we notice fruition of some of our dreams, and how we close out other dreams. Beginnings, endings, patience, because it is all a process, beautiful Aries. And patience generally is a virtue that most Aries people work on as a soul lesson. Let me know if that's true for you. I think this is your guidance for the last few months of Neptune in Pisces, is to be in the flow, ride with the tide, surrender to what you can't control or change, ask for guidance when you need it, take some nice deep breaths, let yourself receive. Beautiful Aries, if anything I shared resonates and you want to share with me, I would absolutely love to hear. My beautiful friend, thank you so much for joining me for this last pass of Neptune retrograde in Pisces. It is a big deal. I am really excited to see how this transit unfolds. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for your thumbs ups, for your shares to your friends, to your family, for commenting down below. I love hearing what you have to say, and for subscribing to the channel. Your subscribes are how this channel grows, and I cannot do it without you. If you'd like to do an astrology consultation with me or check out my offerings, go to my website. You'll see the testimonials that other clients have shared after working with me. We can do a heart's desire, life purpose, relationship harmony, natal chart reading, lots of choices for you. Go to my website, check them out. Also, clarity coaching sessions are another way that I can support you. And it is my absolute joy to meet you on Zoom. If you'd like to receive my free gift, it is a soothing guided meditation connecting you to your unconditionally loving soul, your spiritual guides, to receive a gift from your guides, perfect for this Neptune in Pisces retrograde transit. Go to my website, sign up to get my weekly inspirational astrology updates. They are free. You'll get your instant download guided meditation at the same time. Let me know how you are feeling this transit coming up of Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And until my next video, I am sending you all my love.